dust bath and the anthill. Huh? Hi, Nugget. Is that your favorite dust bath pot? You are so acting like. Hi, Nugget. Doesn't look like the ants are coming out to be upset. I guess they learned their lesson. You guys are not going away, huh? Goofies. Hi, babies. I wonder what kind of tree this is. One of the many little tiny sapling trees. This one's got thorns too. That sucks. I wonder what kind it is. You guys want to lay down in the shade? Then let's go up to the other area. Very back of the yard. We have this very dense area over here. It's not even my yard right there, but come on, babies. You tend to have wasps and stuff coming from that area. Come on, babies. You coming? Come on, goofies. Mm-mm-mm. Hey, Nuggy. Nugget. Hey, Nugget. Love you, Nuggy. Getting yourself some drink? Yeah? Okay. Come on, guys. Let's hang out right here. So you get whoever wants to can take a bath, jump in the water, and whoever doesn't want to can forage. Sound like a plan? What do you see? It's pretty hot out. I'm gonna say like probably in the 80s. Not too bad though in the shade. Mm-mm-mm. Excuse you. You just have an obsession with nibbling on me, don't you? Huh? Hmm? I love you too. Guys, check out Sarah. Her patch, her neck, it's all coming in so fast. And look, all of them though. All of them are developing their patches and the neck colors. If you pay attention though, you're actually going to notice that they all look a little bit different. Just a little bit. If you pay close attention. Hey, hey, hey. It's a cooch and rooster who's fighting with a female. I feel like he's losing. She's beating the crap out of him. You go, girl. You tell him who's boss. You tell him who's boss. You teach him his lesson. She's so winning. That's my girl. You did good, Mama. Hey, barbecue. Barbecue. She was not threatening your pecking order. She was threatening his behavior. You sound like a duck. Uh-oh. Squirt was on a mission. I think she thought that was Charlie. She thought she was going to get away with chasing Charlie again. And Blue was like, try me. Hey, babies. Uh-uh. You're okay, little foot. Uh, uh, uh. Ladies are foraging right here. You got Pretty Bird right there and one of the Goslings. And Layla's right there in a green tub. Interesting fact, Pretty Bird does not care about Layla at all anymore, actually. It's the Goslings. That's it. And that, not even as much anymore. Pretty Bird really only cares about the Goslings. And not even as much anymore. Like, he separates out with just the Canadas very, very often now. He's not really hanging around the Goslings nearly as much anymore. And these guys are getting bigger way too fast. They're growing up. No, Ali. No, they are not wild geese. Well, in a way, technically, these are privately bred Canada geese. These have been bred by a legal breeder in the U.S. It is commonly not known that this is actually possible, but you can, with the proper paperwork, the proper documentation, and following the federal and the state law, you can legally, privately own Canada geese. Um, but it is impossible to take one from the wild and then get a permit for it and own it in captivity unless you're a sanctuary or like a rescue. You know what I mean? And the animal cannot be rehabilitated. Um, but these guys are captive bred Canada geese. All of mine are captive bred Canada geese that have been in captivity for like since the 1920s minimum, like since the law was first put in effect for the Migratory Bird Act. Like I think it was put in effect 1918. Um, and then in I think it was the 1930s they made it illegal to stop. Uh, they made it illegal for you to breed birds to use as live decoys. So but it's from those same domestic flocks from back then that were already in place that these guys are the descendants of. So basically, for the last 100 years, we've had flocks in captivity that we've been bred that have been bred in captivity by multiple breeders throughout the U.S. And those can be legally obtained by the average citizen. Um, but there is a difference between. It's very important to know that there's a difference between legally owning a Canada goose and legally breeding Canada geese. So I am a legal owner, not a legal breeder. Um, I am a legal owner in the sense that I can own my Canada geese and my Canada geese can reproduce and whatever, but I cannot sell them. So I cannot like go and sell them to another person. That would be illegal of me to do. So I cannot be a breeder right now. I would have to go through my state and get a special permit to be allowed to breed my Canada geese. So it's a whole nother permit, a separate permit to breed them versus to keep them. And to keep them, it's not really a permit per se. It's a federal documentation that permits you to keep Canada geese. So is it something that permits, as in permits you to keep them? Yeah, basically, but it's not technically considered a permit. It's just a document. It's proof of legal ownership, basically. Um, and that's the federal part of keeping them. So I have two regular Canadas. I have one cackling. She's my little terror. Excuse me, she's my little terror. I have one hybrid. Hi, pretty bird. He's the star of the show. And then I have 5 young goslings that have recently joined our flock this past May. So none of my current Canada geese are from my Canada geese. So like all of my Canada geese right now, including the goslings, are from breeders, from different breeders. Um, and I did that because I wanted to make sure that I had a decent DNA pool before I would have my birds procreate. I wanted to make sure that they had some variety there in their genetics. Right, babies? And then this right here is one of my domestics. What's up, Dino? Yes, Dino. What? What is it, Dino? Dino is a mix between African, which is the boys that are separated right now, those two boys, and an American buff, which is what she is. Those right there are technically Dino's siblings, those three Goslings right here. But Dino was incubated indoors, and then it has been hand raised by my daughter, my 12-year-old, and she's done an exceptional job. The other three, they will not be staying with us. So those Goslings are actually looking for new pastures, new ponds. Um, and then also the two Africans, they were supposed to be females, turned out to be males. And there's been some serious issues over this past breeding season with the dynamic between them and my hybrid gander. And I cannot risk losing him. Not only because I'm emotionally very much attached to him, but also because for research purposes, I have plans with him. I have goals with him. Um, I hatched him out. I did not create him. I hatched him out. He was a surprise hybrid. He was my first goose, my first gander, and he uh, he is a hybrid between a most likely Chinese, but either Chinese or African, so basically like those guys, and a Canada goose. So he's a mix between Canada and um, Chinese or African. And it creates a very unique looking goose, or gander in this case. As you can see, his cheek patch is much bigger. He's got orange flippers. Right, Pitbird? Come here, buddy. Pretty bird. Pretty bird. You and your attitude ever since the baby's hatched. Come here, big boy. Hi. Hi. He's 4 years old. He's a good boy. You can see he's got white coming in on his neck. And there's a lot of things that I'm very curious about on how they'll develop with him because he is a hybrid. And it's, to the best of my knowledge, there is nobody else who's keeping hybrid candidates in captivity. So I'm there's very little information. Like if you try to research them on the internet, if you try to find any studies on them, come on, babies. Nope. Gotcha. Nope. No biting the babies. No biting the babies. No biting the babies, pretty bird. Be nice. Be nice. Go get your num nums. Go get your num nums, Pibbert. Go get your num nums. Off my feet. Nope. No, you guys didn't have to follow me over here, right? Pretty bird, buddy, come on. And Charlie, you don't have to egg him on. Come on. Go on. Babies. Come on. Come on, babies. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Come on. Come on, babies. Come on, babies. Hey, come on. All right. Anyway, I hope that answered your question. Okay. It was a little long-winded, but you know, it's a little complicated. You know. What are you doing? Excuse you. That's my bracelet. You cannot have it. You cannot have it. Please. Look at you, Sarah. You're looking so pretty. Hi, Sarah. Look at you with your yellow little fluff in between the black. That looks so cool. Wouldn't it be cool if it stayed like that? Look at that. The yellow polka dots in between. That would be so cool looking. Sarah, you should keep that. You should keep it. It looks really good. I'm not kidding. It looks really, really cool. You should leave it. Hey, hey. You guys all look like you're wearing eyeliner. You know that? Hey, Ducky. Hi, Ducky. Hi, Ducky. What you doing, Petrie? Wait, are you little foot or Petrie? You're Petrie. Hey, Petrie. Hi, Dino. Hi, Dino. Hi, Dino. Well, I mean, it varies. The U.S. is very big. America is very, very big. But I'm in Texas, so here it's in the 80s, so around 85 degrees, maybe 85 degrees, um, which is like probably, I'm trying to remember the Celsius ones. Maybe in the low 30s in Celsius, like the low 30s. It's pretty hot. Very humid, like very, very wet air, very humid. 50 Celsius or 50 degrees? Or what's it called? Fahrenheit or Celsius? What's the, I always forget the darn difference. I grew up in Germany, so in Germany we used a different like system for the temperature. So in America, 70 degrees is comfortable, warm. 70 degrees is like nice, like comfortable. It's normal summer. 70 to 75 degrees, to, like the way we say it in the US, is like what the average German summer is like. And then, see, I never remember how to do the difference between the two. Where'd you go? Oh, there he goes. Coming with? Degrees. Ah, I see. Yeah, we used to live in Arizona where it's desert temperatures. It's desert land. It's scrub deserts mostly. I think Arizona is the only place in the world that has every kind of desert. It's like a unique desert. Anyways, um, in the summer it's strange because humidity makes heat worse. So Arizona was dry heat because it was desert heat. And um the lightning storms were beautiful, by the way. But It was dry heat, so even if it was 110 degrees out, it was still not that bad, really. But here, if it's 85 degrees in Texas and it's high humidity, like it feels like you're sweating to death. Like even the temperature is less, but you feel hotter because the humidity is so high and just makes everything so heavy. It's strange. It's very weird. It took a while for us to get used to it. When we got a predator. Hawk! Hawk? Nugget. Will you move, woman? Mm. Thank you, left. Yep. He gone. He's gone. Blue, don't be mean. You're so cute, Dino. 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 The babies. Stop complaining, Kit. Love how curious they are. Oh, it's cool. So is it wintertime or summertime right now where you are? Or is it fall or spring? Like what time of the year is it for where you are at? Because wouldn't it be summer right now? Oh, wait, you're also on a different time of the day. Us too. Animals are amazing. I always say with animals, there is no good or evil. They just are. They're like children. They're just innocent. You getting your big feathers? Huh? Get your big feathers coming in, mamas. Huh? Hi, ducky. What was that? Hot sauce. You okay, buddy? Always gotta groom, groom, groom. See, I love how curious Canada geese are. Geese are very, very curious animals. What now? Lovely. Hi, ducky. Hi, ducky. Ducky has some scars on her beak. She was um she was injured during transport on her way to us. You see the birdies, Ducky? You see the birdies? Yes. Hi, Dino. Dino, Dino, Dino. Dino, Dino, Dino. Well, it depends where you are. It depends where you are in America. Lots of variety here. We got everything from deserts to beaches to places where it never stops raining, places where it's almost winter is almost all year. Um, yeah, we've got lots of different variety here. We've got swamplands, we've got tropical, um, mountain ranges, flatlands. I mean, we've got every natural disaster you can think of. Everything from tornadoes, hurricanes, tsunamis, earthquakes. We got the whole shebang. Volcanoes. We've got all of it. The heck are you? Why are you biting me, weird little bug? Get out of here. Yeah, that's what I figured. That it's nighttime where you guys are at. I was just thinking about it. Mm. Just occurred to me a few minutes ago. There's a time difference. Hey, fluffy boy. Oh, I will. I do my best. Do my best to spoil them. My babies? Ducky. Huh, Ducky? Hey, Ducky. Mm-mm-mm. Sarah, you look so grown up already. Look, and she's got a heart shape. Her patch is turning into a heart shape. How cute is that? She's got a sideways heart on her cheeks. Look, this way. You see it looks like a heart. Sarah, Sarah, let me see the other side again. Sarah, see? Sarah. What's up, Ducky? Mm-mm-mm. What, you want it? You want Mama feed you? You get up and come over here. You know there's grass everywhere, right? Yes, yes. Hold on, I'll feed you too. Here you go. Since you can't forage your own darn grass, spoiled little butt. There you go. Yes, little foot. You okay, mamas? Blue, are you okay? Blue, Blue. You okay, Blue? Huh, big girl? I'm sorry to hear that. So do you keep animals too? You say you love animals. You have chickens, ducks, geese, goats, cows, maybe parrots. We have cockatiels, the small parrots from Australia. We have a couple of those. Nugget, 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 come here. Hi, Nugget. Hi, Nugget. Are you hungry, girl? Yes, you're hungry? Here, let me get you another bowl of food. You guys can stay here if you want. You don't have to follow, but you can if you want. It's okay, babies. Hey, Blue. Hey, Squirt. Hey, Nugget. Hey, Charlie. How you doing, Charlie? What is it, Blue? Huh? I believe it. I mean, it would make sense. Temperatures drastically change. It'll affect the wildlife. Hold on, Mama. You'll get more in a minute. Hi, goofball. Excuse me. Excuse me. Crispy. Come on, Crispy. Come on, Crispy. Come on, Crispy. Here, Squirt. Here, Squirt. Come on, Crispy. Yes, come on, Crispy. Crispy. Come on, Crispy. Hi, Candace. I think you might be mixing us up. We are Pet Goose Pretty Bird, not Pet Goose George. Nugget. Peck me. Here. Spoiled little girl. You got pigeons and chickens and a zebra sparrow. That's cool. I have rescued some doves, but I've never owned doves. Never owned pigeons before. You okay? You need some water? Gosh, I love that pattern you've got going on right now. I really hope it sticks. I wish you would keep that black and yellow pattern that she's got right now. Or it turn into a black and white pattern like that. The dots everywhere. I think it looks so cool. I'm the kind of person where anybody... Here you go, honey. Here you go, honey. Go on, honey. Here you go, honey. Honey. Hi, honey. Yeah. Good boy. Good boy, honey. Good boy, honey. Honey spurred me one time a little while ago. He hasn't done it since. He hasn't seemed to want to attack me since, but I don't know if maybe it was because I was wearing something that he didn't like. He got good. Stabbed me right in the muscle. In my calf. That hurt. Hi, sunfish. Yes, they are. They're babies. Still babies. Come on, babies. Uh. They follow me because they think I'm mama. Because I've been their mama since they were little. So they're with me all day. If I'm inside the house, they're inside the house. If I'm outside the house, they're outside the house. They have an enclosure inside my house. Now, they are now at a point where they're going to have to move out soon into the yard. But once they do, I'll be spending significantly more time outside. Simply because they're going to be so used to being around me all the time. It's going to be important to them that I'm there. They'll have a safe area away from the other geese and the other chickens to be in the coop. Oh, you're all good, Candace. Well, actually, if you Google Pretty Bird the Pet Goose, I have gotten results where it says our like channel name, and then underneath it, it shows Pet Goose George's about section, and I'm like, huh? So it's not an unusual thing to happen. Um, so mix up apparently is fairly common, even for like the bigger corporations there. But no, it's all good. Guys, I don't know if we can stay back here. We're gonna lose connection. Babies. Come on. Come on, babies. There we go. Actually not really. I was surprised. A couple of days ago we got hit hard, but not last night, really. We got pretty lucky. And yeah, Candace Lynn, we're actually in Texas as well. So hi right back from Texas. And since y'all are in Texas, if you guys know anybody who's looking to add more goslings to their flock, I do have 3 more goslings that are available to go, and 2 ganders that are looking for a new place to live. And I'm wanting them to go somewhere where there'll be guard geese or pets or breeders, but not food. um, but did you guys Oh, you did? Did y'all get hit at all? Or did it pass you guys last night too? It's so strange because we've been getting hit over and over and over again. Last night it didn't hit us, but all the other storms, it kept saying it wasn't going to hit us, and then it always hit us. Like they kept underestimating the storms, and every single forecast was like it was going to miss us, it was going to miss us, it was going to miss us. And then like I would look at the storms and I'd be like, the storm seems to be a lot bigger every step of the way than what they forecasted. So I would just assume that the storm would hit us, and I was right every single time. The only time we didn't get hit was last night, but every other storm before that, we've been getting hit nonstop. Hey, hey, hey! Blue and Charlie, be nice to the babies. I mean, I know they're like 7 times the size of Squirt, but still. Hi, babies! Uh-uh. Hi, babies! That's funny. You know what's also funny, Candace, is that I'm actually from Germany as well. I speak fluent German. I was actually raised in Germany. I just, come on, babies! Come on! Come here! Come on! Come on, babies! Come on, babies! Come on! There you go. There you go. Well, if you're definitely interested, Sunfish, then add me on if you can come over on Facebook and to Pet Goose Pretty Bird. It's Pet Dash Goose Pretty Dash Bird. That's our Facebook, and you can private message me there if you're definitely interested. Because I mean, the Goslings are goose raised, so they're not like they're neither here nor there. It's gonna take some taming from whoever wants them if they want them to be pets or tamed. But my two African ganders, they're not they're not aggressive. They're not, they were hand raised, so they're actually pretty good. and and I haven't really had any problems with them. A little bit of posturing, slight nipping during breeding season, nothing on the level that you usually see from a gander. But yeah, if you're serious and you're interested, shoot me a message on Facebook. I'll check my other folder, and we can talk about it. Those feathers growing in. Why are you growing up? Why do you gotta do that to your mama? You were supposed to be a tiny little yellow fluff ball for at least a year. I thought we had this conversation. Of course, you guys always got last word. What are you doing? You are such a mischief, you know that? This one just loves just nipping and nibbling and all that. Yeah, that one's... Wait, that was Littlefoot, right? Hi, Kenny. Yep. The noodle. I think it's noodle. It's like the E and the L, and the pronunciation is different. Because in English we say noodle, and then in German you say noodle. So noodle, and in English you say noodle. So like, there's a lot of actually words that have nearly identical or are identical pretty much in German and English. Like house is house, mouse is mouse, uh, noodle is noodle, toilet is toilette. So it's basically just adding another sound to it. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of overlaps in words, and that's always what I tell people when they go to learn German. Is you can knock out a lot of words if you just look for the words that are either the same and then move to the words that are similar, and you can knock out a lot of the words that you're going to end up needing to know. Um, and it's just going to hurry up a little bit about your knowledge so that if you're like, say, learning German to go to like a Euro trip or something like that, you already know a lot of stuff. What's up, Crispy? What's up, Crispy? You know, you look so beat up. People are going to think you look like hell. You know that, right? She has a condition, by the way. She looks like this because she was I got her from Tractor Supply, and she was supposed to be a frizzle, and frizzles are like this. That little fluff ball you see over there. That's now hiding behind the rooster right there. That little black fluff ball. You see how fluffy it is? Just just like she touched an electrical socket and it went poof, right? And but her entire body's covered and you don't see any skin poking through. Well, Crispy over here, her feathers are very tightly curled, and because of this, her feathers are very brittle and are easily broken and torn out. And so it literally takes only one time for a rooster to mate her for her to like basically go half bald. And even though the roosters rarely, if ever, touch her, even though the roosters rarely, if ever, touch her, she looks like hell. And she's fine in the summer temperatures, but when it comes to winter time, like if it gets too cold, I bring her inside, and because she cannot maintain her body temperature as well as the other chickens can, because she does not like a frizzle in general will struggle, but she's considered a frazzle, and frazzles have a significantly harder time maintaining their body temperature, especially in the cold. So yeah, I'll agree with that, Candace. It's definitely been Texan style storms lately. Them thunderstorms, they've been crazy. Yep, that is how you say I love you in German. Ich liebe dich. But yeah, so but just to clarify, I'm an American through and through. I was born in the US. Um for to sum it up, if you take it from my father's perspective, I was born in the US, and then when I was about 3 years old, my mother kidnapped me from my dad and took me to Germany and raised me as a German. And then I returned to the US when I was 18. During that time frame, when I was living in Germany, I had completely forgotten all of my English, but it had saved itself in my subconscious So when I started hanging out with the military-based high school kids, where I was growing up, when I was around 14, 15 years old, like English came to me very quickly and easily. And the German accent, even though I do have one, didn't really stick around as strongly as it does for most people who are German speaking and then learn English. Um, Now, because of a lack of a relationship with my family in Germany, I pretty much don't really speak German anymore. Like, I just don't use it. So, even though I read, write, and speak German fluently, I just don't use it much anymore. And I think that's another reason why I don't really have the accent as much, is because I'm not switching back and forth all the time. Um, but yeah, I'm basically a bilingual dual citizen. And a dual citizenship comes from because my parents are different citizenships, I guess. It's kind of funny because there's a big stigma about um, people from other countries marrying somebody in the US. A lot of people thought I married my husband for the green card. And the funny thing is that we actually weren't married for many years after I moved back to the US. Um, well, not many years, for several years. Um, and it's a thing that's commonly assumed when you have somebody who's in the military, stationed overseas, meets somebody from another country, brings them back to the US with them. We got another predator announcement. And this is where the African ganders are flawless. Those guys are amazing when it comes to announcing the predators. Absolutely flawless. I would say that they're way better at it than my Canadas, actually. Like, they are absolutely ace when it comes to that. Ali, do you guys learn Oxford English or do you learn American? Because in Germany, in German school, we had a class called English, and in our English class, we actually were learning Oxford English, which I was failing. Like, even though I could speak English as an American English, Oxford English and American English is so different from each other. It's actually very common for Germans or people who learned American English later on in life to say I speak American and not to say I speak English. I actually thought it was really funny because I saw an argument about this not too long ago about some people who were saying that they thought it was ridiculous that some people said that they spoke American and not English. But it's actually not uncommon in Europe to make a distinction between the two. I'm not saying that it's super common in Europe. I'm just saying it's not uncommon in Europe to make a distinction, especially for like dual language kids or bilingual kids that speak more than like that speak English and German, or say Russian and English and German. Um, like we did tend to make a distinction between those ones because English that we were being taught in Germany was so different from American. And it's kind of funny to me because in most of the world, from my understanding, we're actually not being taught American English. We're actually being taught what is considered Oxford English, as an like UK English. No, no. Sunfish. No, not like that. No, no, no. No, like, I mean, like the pronunciation, like, I don't know. It's some of the terminology, some of the word, like if you look at like differences between American English and say England English, like if you look it up, like you can find videos where they'll show you like how certain words and terminologies are very different from each other and certain pronunciations are different. And so it actually messes up your understanding of what English is supposed to be almost in a way. Now, I'm not saying that it's like a ginormous difference. I'm just saying that like for the kids, like us kids growing up in that kind of environment where like we're learning, you know, UK English in school and speaking German and then speaking American English at home and German at home, we saw such a big difference that it just only seemed natural to us to make a distinction between the two. Like it just came naturally. It wasn't something we're doing like to be cool or something. And no, we were forbidden. We were forbidden from speaking slang because there is a German. Like I think in most languages there is a slang version. In German, there's something called Plattdeutsch, and Plattdeutsch is basically. Come on, babies. Come on. I don't know why y'all had to come over here and just mess it all up. Goofy. I know it is freaking funny because technically in the States nobody would ever make a distinction. That's what I realized. It never occurred to me before that it sounded strange that I made a distinction between the two. And I've been living in the US now for, let's see, I moved back when I was 18 and I'm 34. So, right? Yeah, I am. Damn it, I'm old. Anyways, um so it's it's strange because it never occurred to me really before until I came across this whole big argument in a comment section, and it cracked me up because I remembered about how we'd made all these distinctions, and I will lean more towards just saying I speak English, as in I don't really make that distinction now anymore. But that's more like because environmentally it's not something that people around you do, so you're not going to do it, right? Like you pick up what people do around you. And I don't know. I thought it was hilarious. Yeah, see, in Germany, you actually call it Plattdeutsch, which is like the slang version of German, which I speak that as well. Um, and German has several different dialects as well. Like there's areas where somebody who speaks regular proper German, which is called Hochdeutsch, um, like somebody who speaks proper German can go into some areas, say like Munich, and not understand a damn word they're saying. Um, like say like for an example, in most parts in Germany, you would say something like um, say 8:30 for the time, but then like in some parts in Germany, they'll say like half past, half till, quarter past, quarter till, right? And like, as in, there are different things that are considered normal in different areas, but then they have completely different words even for different things. And the entire language is so different, the way they pronounce it and use it. What's up, Layla? I think she wants to tell us something too. You telling us about different dialects in the goose world? See, that's one thing I wonder about. I wonder if geese understand each other. I mean, for anybody who has geese or loves geese, genuinely wonder if geese understand every word they say, if it's like different slangs, different dialects, like if it's like English and American, or if it's like more like it's all American or it's all English, but different slangs and different accents and stuff like that. Like I've wondered about it because Pretty Bird does not sound like either one of his parent. See, now I was thinking way too much about language. Now I'm starting to mess up. I'm tripping over my own tongue. um, when I talk about this stuff, I start thinking in German, and then my English starts messing up. Um, Pretty Bird does not sound like either one of his parents. So Pretty Bird is half Chinese or African, and then his other side is Canada. Pretty Bird does not make any sounds that sound like Canada. Sometimes maybe some, but more of the grunting noises. But he doesn't really make any honking sounds that sound at all like Canada sounds. But then he also does not sound anything like a Chinese or an African goose. So he has his own unique honk. And I've asked many people over time trying to figure out what he was mixed with in the beginning. I had asked so many people what he sounded like to them, and not one person could pinpoint the sound. Even people who dealt with just hundreds of different goose breeds and were very experienced and very knowledgeable, they could not pinpoint his sound. It's so unique. And so I'm like, I wonder if that messes up their ability to communicate with each other. I don't know. Oh yeah. They 100% communicate. I know that. I'm just wondering if there are like limitations because they have different dialects or different accents or different ways of talking. Like, I don't know. From my understanding, most of our research when it comes to waterfowl was based on ducks in our science and our biology, and we really didn't start looking into geese until very recently. So, geese are pretty much a mystery to even the biological and scientific world, even though they've been part of of humanity and farming and us living off of them for like thousands and thousands of years. They've been domesticated, yet we've never really taken the time to learn a lot about them, like not like we have in the recent years. So it's like, I don't know. It's one of those things I'm really curious about is how their different sounds, how the hell are they communicating if they don't sound the same? And then that makes you question whether or not different birds can communicate with each other, whether or not different species can communicate with each other. I don't know. I'm a weirdo like that. I'll sit here and I'll try to contemplate that kind of shit. Like trying to figure out if my chickens understand what my geese are saying, because my chickens recognize, even the very first time they did it, they recognized when my ganders were announcing that there was a predator in the sky. How the hell did they know that that particular sound that they'd never heard before in their life meant not only that there was a predator, but there was a predator in the sky? Like that, the specifics of it, which makes me think that they can understand it, or at least some key understanding has to be there. And I do spend a lot of time observing my birds. That's why I tend to go live, because this is what I do a lot. Like with my free time, I spend time, and especially while I have goslings, I need to do this. This isn't really technically free time. This is like, we got a predator trying to sneak up. Uh, uh. Oh, come in to hide behind me. Go on, bud. Don't do it. Don't do it. Where's your buddy? Ah, ah. Don't do it. I'm really curious. What kind of bird is that, guys? It won't let me zoom in. What kind of bird is this? The head looks lighter. I don't think it's a black vulture. I tried to look him up. I don't think it's a black vulture, though we have a lot of those here, and we've had a lot of them in the sky over the last months. Exactly. Oh yeah, 100% sunfish. 100%. They have so many different sounds to them, and I'm just wondering how they understand each other. And that whole concept makes me wonder, why do animals not understand humans if they can understand each other, at least to some extent? Makes me wonder if they can understand some of the things that we say, or if it actually is connected to tone of voice or body language. I don't know. Like Layla. Layla! It's completely different. Pretty bird. Pretty bird. Hi. Hi, pretty bird. Num num num. See, pretty bird's like quiet, grunty sound is more high pitched, whereas the Canadas have a much lower pitched one. Hey, Blue, you're sweating? I know it's hot. I'm sorry. Nope. 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 No goslings for dinner for you. Nope. No. This is the first year that Pretty Bird's going at goslings, and the only reason why is because he has his own. And mine are a different size from his. In the beginning, he wasn't mean to them at all, actually. If anything, he was trying to take them away from me. And when he realized that they were running away from him and that they would not go with him, then he started chasing them. So, I don't know. It's like because they rejected him, he rejected them back. He's like, fine. I don't like you either then. Why is there a zip tie on this? Yeah, anyway, so there's a lot of observations that I'm hoping to learn from. And maybe one day, all of this recording and all of this observation that I'm doing will help somebody answer some questions about geese, especially hybrids, because I think there's a lot of questions about hybrids that are not answered. Say, for an example, fertility, behavior, body language, the plumage. Like, Pretty Bird's appearance has been changing over the years. Like, I don't know, some of you guys have been around for a long time, but you see how Pretty Bird has all those white markings on the back of his neck? Yeah, he didn't have that in the past. If you go really far back on his videos when he was only a yearling and he was like in his first year, the back of his neck was as black as the Canada Goose back of the neck. He had no white. And over time, he's been gaining more and more white all over his neck. And in the past, he had more speckles down the side of his neck, but those have gone away. He also had no white around his beak. Like all this, that circle that goes right at the base of his beak, right here, right, right there, right there, right there, right there. That was not there. And a lot of his like plumage around his head and neck has been slowly turning white. No, you do not get to go and mess with the goslings. No, you cannot. They're mine. They are mine. They're mine, pretty bird. They're mine. Hello. Do you have an appointment? I don't think so. All right, let's go, boogers. Don't do it, Blue. Really? Now you're gonna be cute? Hi, Blue. Yes, you're adorable. You know that? Hi, Blue. Hi, babies. Hi, babies. Yes, hi, babies. I was about to say, if you were gonna turn around and poop, I was gonna be mad, but probably just laugh. Hey, Charlie. Hi, Charlie. Charlie. Uh-uh. Hi, Charlie. Hey, Blue. Will she let me touch her? Uh-oh. She sees my hand. She sees my hand. Hey. Okay, fine. I'll leave you alone. Blue has never liked to be touched. She doesn't like it. She doesn't want to be messed with. Let's see. Sunfish, you said, I believe they can understand each other. Why do you think they fly south in such a perfect V? They communicate by finding fields of feed just by simply passing over and having a couple of scouts to find it. And there's different call patterns for hunting them to get them to get closer. Oh, you think that's a condor? Oh, we have a lot of those over here. I do think they have white on the tip of the head looks lighter. I can't quite tell what it looks like, but it looks lighter. But the majority of the body is either black or very dark brown. Uh-uh-uh. Come here, babies. Uh-uh. Oh, no, when I question if they understand each other, I more mean, like, between different... You know that's not a crow, right, dude? You're such a weird rooster. When I'm talking about the geese understanding each other, like, obviously, one breed will understand each other no problem. I'm meaning more like, say, an African goose and a Canada goose. Do they understand everything they say? Like every tone, every, you know what I mean? Is it like talking in different accents, different dialects? Like that's the curiosity I have. Like they obviously must understand each other because otherwise they wouldn't be getting along. They wouldn't be able to communicate. But my curiosity is what's the difference from their perspective? Like if you were to compare it to the human language, is it like a dialect? Is it like a slang? Is it like, you know what I mean? That's the curiosity I have. And when it comes to whether or not they do understand each other, I'm more talking about like the difference of species between different species if they understand each other. So like, say, I don't know, if a goose and a chicken can communicate, if a dog and a cat can communicate in sound, is what I mean. Like that stuff. But I mean, I've never looked into it or anything like that. It's just random thoughts at random times while I observe my birds and animals around here and think about it. And then sometimes I go into a research tangent of trying to figure out and trying to research stuff and trying to find answers. But most of my research is usually focused on hybrid stuff and Canada geese because that's my main area of interest. What I'm most passionate about. Do we ever get confused by people with Lou as the pretty bird and friends also? Um, I don't think so. Not that I'm aware of. It, not that I remember. Yeah, and I agree with that, Candace. Like, I think the reason why animals between different species have some ability to communicate is because, much like humans, a huge part of our communication is body language. Like, even if, so the average, like, I'm obviously not referring to necessarily all different human cultures, but in most cultures, we have basic things that are very similar when it comes to body language or meanings. They're starting to turn into little Canada geese. Yes, did you do a good job? Did you do a good job protecting your siblings? Good job. Dork. Um, so like in the human world, even I can find a way to communicate with somebody that I don't speak the same language with, or minimal speak the same language, through body language and through gestures and everything else. And animals have a much more extended body language than we do, especially birds. Um, Actually, not too long ago, they found out that parrots actually use the reflection of light on their feathers. So they do these like minimalistic movements of their feathers, and they basically see I think they called it in 4D colors or something like that is what they called it. It's like a whole nother color spectrum, and parrots can see in this entirely other color spectrum, and that's how they communicate with each other, um, beyond the regular body language that we're aware of and the voice, the sounds. Um, and they did a whole big. There's actually a video, I think, where they explain some of the research they did, and I think they have it on YouTube too. But I think that's a part of it as well. It's just body language. I think the reason why I'm so fascinated with it with Pretty Bird is because he just doesn't sound like any other animal, like any other goose. And then to top it off, he's mixed between. Excuse you, that pinched. You pinched my side. Ha! Come here. What do you have in your mouth? Give me that. Okay, sorry, that was just a root. Um, what's it called? He's mixed between two different genus. So, like, Pretty Bird is mixed between the Brunta genus, which is the Canada goose, but then he's also mixed with the descendants of a swan goose, which is kind of like Europe's version of, or Asia's version of the Canada goose. So, naturally, evolutionary, just, um, what's it called? When you think about the animal changing over, evolving over time and naturally hybridizing, there is no way that these two breeds of birds would meet naturally without human interference. So, Pretty Bird is a mixture between two different animals that would have never naturally met in the wild if humans had not domesticated the swan goose and created the Chinese and the African geese from the swan goose. So, because of that, Pretty Bird was able to be created, basically, or was able to exist. And it's like a whole nother area of hybrid, because it's against anything that would have naturally happened normally. So that's why a lot of people disagree on whether or not Pretty Bird would have that ability to be fertile or not, or because there's some variance when it comes to what they call gray geese and whether or not they can hybridize with other genuses. Even though they fall into a certain genus, they're like a special area of that genus, and there's some evidence or some research that suggests that they can be fertile, specifically the males can be fertile, and that it's only the females that end up being mules. It's a whole big thing. It's crazy. Um, but I've been researching this stuff for like 4 years, ever since I've gotten Pretty Bird. I've been trying to figure it out, trying to learn about it. Um, because I realized that there was very little knowledge about it, really, that I was able to access at least. And like internet research, like just talking to different people. And then when it comes to hybrids in captivity, even people who breed Canada geese legally, like these guys, um, legal breeders will not allow hybridization within their flocks generally. So, um, which I don't think is like a horrible thing or anything like that. But even when a hybrid is created on accident, and let's say one of the eggs, the baby hatches out and turns out to be, leave her alone. She doesn't want to. I got you, Crispy. You can stay here, Crispy. You're okay. You can stay here. Yes, mamas. I know. You can stay here. They won't bother you as long as you're with me. You're okay. You're okay, baby. She usually comes over to me when she has some rooster that's bugging her. Um, but what was I saying? Oh yeah, so breeders who end up, not all breeders, mind you, okay? So this is not something that applies to all breeders, but this is just something that I've noticed that commonly happens. Okay, a lot of breeders generally, when they have a hybrid between different genus, or they have a hybrid that is not sought after or not done on purpose, um, generally they will often either cull, which means kill them, or they will sell them to a taxidermist, which basically is the same thing, or they won't allow the animal the chance to reproduce if there was even the possibility, or they will like in some way not allow them to exist or to procreate or to really live out a longer life generally. Um, that's kind of the consensus I've seen so far. I'm not saying that's all of them. I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's what I've noticed, just so far from what I've seen from the breeding world. And based on everything I've seen so far, I am one of the only, if not the only person, that has been documenting a hybrid, Canada hybrid, in captivity since he was a baby, um, including all of his changes, all of his different phases, his different behaviors. Like there's probably hundreds, if not thousands of hours worth of content just of Pretty Bird, and his behaviors between him and fighting, mating behaviors, uh, like once he started maturing, his just everything about him, like his struggles in the beginning, the way his plumage has changed over time, the sounds he makes, different communications, just how do I say it? To the best of my knowledge, there isn't anybody else that's had this much documentation of a hybrid. The hybrids that are usually documented fairly well are usually the ones that live in the wild, and those are usually not accessible 24/7. So they often are documented for like a few seasons, like a few years, a few breeding seasons, and then they vanish. And a big reason for that is because hybrids are often targeted by hunters because they're unique. They're special, they look different. So hunters will shoot them, and it's kind of like a trophy in a way. And but in turn, you don't continue to document this animal now because the animal is now deceased. It's now gone, right? And usually the person who was photographing them or documenting them, first of all, they have no way of knowing for sure it's that animal unless they're banded in some way or marked in some way, like they have something unique that sets them apart, um, or um, or they um, like when I say something unique, I mean like say a certain deformity, because their feathers, they lose their feathers every year and they grow new feathers every year, and their plumage can change. And especially if you have a flock with multiple hybrids, you have no way of knowing for sure that a certain hybrid is a certain animal. To the best of your knowledge, it may be, but you can't really guarantee it. So it's like there are certain restrictions that you run into when it comes to documenting hybrids in the wild, and certain limitations that you're going to run into. You know, oh, I own my geese. So I this is this these are my animals. So all of these animals that you see in this yard, including my you little weirdo. Oh, the timing. Look at that. Are you comfortable? It doesn't look very comfortable. I own all my geese. So Pretty Bird has been with me since he was an egg, and since then I have over time added more and more birds to the flock to basically build a flock for him. And I do own them legally. It is possible to legally own Canada geese in the U.S. It's not commonly known of, but there are legal breeders in the U.S. Where you can obtain a Canada goose. Um, you shouldn't do that unless you're definitely committed to them and know what you're getting yourself into. But you can. It is possible. Um, and in to the best of my knowledge, in most states in the U.S., it is legal. So there's a federal law, and then there's a state law. And the way that I understand the law, and there might be some differences, and I may not understand all of it properly, but basically, you receive a specific document from the breeder that basically proves that you obtained the animal legally. And in most states, in many states, if not most states, that is sufficient for you to own the animal. Um, but this document is also reported to Fish and Games, so to the Wildlife Department, and it's considered a federal document that basically proves that you did not take this animal from the wild, that this animal came from a breeder who has the proper licensing to be allowed to not only keep but also breed and sell these animals. Um, and then if you wish to become a breeder yourself and to sell eggs or goslings or feathers or whatever from these animals because they are federally protected, you need to have an additional document, which is a state permit, to be allowed to breed them. Now, in some states, the document from the breeder, to the best of my knowledge, again, I'm not an expert, this is just as far as I know, how I've been explained this, spoken to many wardens and all that fun stuff. Um, in some states, there are additional documents that are required from the state to allow you just to own them. So, in some states, that document that you receive from the breeder may not be sufficient, and you basically can only find this out if you manage to find yourself a knowledgeable person within your Fish and Games department, which is very, very difficult. Your best bet is to try to find a legal breeder in your state and have them explain it to you, because it is exceptionally difficult to find anybody, even within a department where the people are supposed to be experts, that know anything about legal Canada goose keeping. Um, and they often will mix them up with other legal exotic birds, like other exotic birds that you can keep with a permit. They often mix up the rules there or the laws, and it's a whole, because they're a special basically faction. Like they are they fall specifically under the Migratory Bird Act of 1918. I think it's 1918. And but it's not just migratory, it's migratory waterfowl. So it's a very specific section, and there's a specific law that applies to them, which is why it's illegal to hurt them, kill them, disturb their nest, take the goslings, or anything like that without having a proper documentation licensing to do so. It is also impossible to turn a wild goose into a legal pet. So a wild Canada goose cannot be turned into a legal pet. Um, that cannot be done without basically cheating the law. Um, but obviously, you shouldn't do that. um, but yeah, it's you can't just go get a Canada goose from the wild and just be like, hey, I got it from a breeder. Like, it's not how it works. Hope that makes sense. It's kind of complicated, kind of simple. but there's like so much more to it. I also have to make sure that my birds are trimmed. So there's other things, there's certain responsibilities I have. So even if I wanted to release my birds, I would federally not be allowed to. I'd actually be committing a offense, a federal offense, if I let these birds fly away. So I'm not allowed to even let my birds migrate. Um, these guys fall into the domestic bird category now because they have been domesticated. So, um, and even if I were to let them go, like if I were to choose to do that, and let's say I chose to like break the law, like a lot of people think it's a good idea to go to a pet store, buy a bunch of birds, and release them, and they think they're doing a good thing because they're setting them free. In all reality, first of all, most of the birds in a pet store aren't even native to our areas, to our states, to our locations, to the weather. They wouldn't be able to survive in the wild regardless. And then, second of all, these animals are domesticated and they can no longer live in the wild without human support. So, my goslings, because they've been bred in captivity for many, many years, these are from generations upon generations of captive bred Canada geese. So, these are not wild geese. They are descendants of wild geese, but we're talking about like a good 100+ years back. And these birds are captive bred. These are domesticated, a domesticated basically bloodline, and they would not. The chances of them surviving in the wild successfully, like living successfully, living, surviving, and thriving, is like almost zero. Um, they are dependent on human support, on human shelter, protection, food, and water. Um, I guess you could kind of argue that either way, because to prevent them from flying, I have to trim their flight feathers. So I have to trim one side of their wings, not like Blue and Charlie, because that I don't like. I'm not talking about pinioning. I did not pinion my birds. That's something I did not know that breeder did. These birds are from a different breeder than those two. Those two came from a breeder who pinions the birds, meaning that he basically removes a piece of their wing while they're goslings. And I figured this out after they arrived at my house. Anyways, now with these guys, um, they are they're marked differently. So every breeder, every state has different laws on how they have to mark the birds to mark them as captive bred. Um, and in these guys' case, once their feathers grow in completely, I will be trimming one side of their flight feathers. This does not hurt them. It is not a permanent disfigurement or anything like that. It's pretty much like a haircut. Um, oh, you're good. I Hun, that's like literally why I make this channel, why I make these videos, why I go live, is so people can ask questions and I can let you guys know what I know. Because I don't want people to think that Canada geese or geese in general are these like horrible, aggressive, mean, dangerous animals. Because they're really not. Um, they are one of the misunderstood animals, I think, in the world. One of the more misunderstood animals in the world, is geese. But yeah, I basically trim one side, one wing. Usually I trim the right wing, and I just trim the flight feathers. And right now, I'm pretty much incapable of showing you exactly what that means because, well, my birds are all molting right now, so most of them are missing their flight feathers right now anyway. But I will most likely be recording it anyway once I do. And basically, it's kind of like a haircut. I take away one side of their flight feathers. It does not hurt them, and it prevents them from learning to fly. So even if they were to get an urge to migrate, they would not have the ability to. Now, fact is that there are some big arguments with that, because there are some arguments against them being kept in captivity, and there are some arguments for them being kept in captivity. Now, the arguments for them being kept in captivity are, for an example, Canada geese, some of their subspecies, and Canada geese in general, basically almost went extinct multiple times over the last 100 years. And because we had captive bred flocks, we were able to actually reestablish the wild flocks, and we were able to save the Canada geese and their subspecies. So the giant Canada goose, the cackling goose, and the regular Canada goose, they were all endangered at different times, or believed to have been extinct at different times in the last 100 years. Um, and we were able to reestablish them because we had captive bred flocks in captivity. And they were able to take the eggs from the captive birds and um, give them to the wild birds, and basically start mixing the genetics and adding more genetic variety to the wild flocks and protecting them more and upping the numbers. And then they would also incubate and hatch additional goslings, and then give the wild birds more goslings, because geese are just so prone to adopting, especially when they're the same age as their own babies. Um, so just they got the numbers up, and that's one of the reasons why we still have Canada geese in the wild, is because we did a lot to keep them from going extinct. But on the other hand, you can argue that, well, if they wanted to migrate, why wouldn't we let them? It's mean to keep them confined. And yes, you can argue this about any animal in one way. That could be one excuse. But on the other hand, if you're going from just a biological factor or evolutionary factor, Canada geese, we have a lot of what are called resident Canada geese in many southern states. And the reason we have resident Canada geese is because Canada geese generally migrate out of a necessity and out of instinct. And the instinct comes from necessity. So it's a evolved part of their mind that tells them this needs to happen because we need food, and food will not be here during certain parts of the year. So therefore, we must move to a different location. Now we have multiple mini flocks, and some of our subspecies of Canada geese, so like the giant Canada goose, are actually believed to come into existence because they did not need to migrate as much anymore after humans came around, because we provide more resources with our grain fields, our veggie fields, our fruit trees, our nut trees, with maintained lawns, um, man-made lakes and ponds. We gave them more habitats, like more options, basically, not more habitats, but more options. Um, and it basically gave them more of a choice in a way. Also, there is an entire big part of Canada geese that is believed to have become residential because of everything that went down in the past where they almost went extinct. So when they added the captive bred birds to the flock, to the wild flocks, excuse you, young woman, that is my bag. When they added the captive bred birds to the wild birds, um, a lot of these captive raised goslings were never taught to migrate. And so they just reproduced where they lived, so where they were raised. Where you going? Dino. So Dino's wings will be trimmed here within the next probably 2-3 weeks. She'll have her wings trimmed. Come on, babies. Waiting for them to be fully grown, like all the way and reach beyond her tail. But yeah, so during that whole program of trying to keep the Canada geese from going extinct, they many of the goslings were hand raised by humans and then released into the wild once they were adults. And by doing so, those goslings never learned to migrate. And by not learning to migrate and learning that who they considered to be their parents was remaining in that same location all year round, they never migrated. So when they had their own babies, their babies were then taught not to migrate. So it's also something that we find very often within wild flocks, and it is really not uncommon at all for them not to migrate. So there is a correlation between a necessity to migrate, an instinctual migrate. Like there are different reasons why they migrate, and I can go further into it about who goes to who and who follows who when it comes to migrating, because the females are the ones that stay with the flock, the males are the ones that leave the flock. Um, Teriyaki, are you okay, dude? You've been sitting over there for a minute. Uh-uh. Hold on, guys. Terry, are you just relaxing? Are you just taking a nap? Buddy, you okay? Yeah, he's okay. All right. Oh, got a chicken pile going on over here. That's what's up. Come on, babies. Come on. Uh-uh-uh. Hey, you got something wrong with your ears? The water out of your ears. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go and do that here soon too. Um, but yeah, so there's like a whole lot of reasons why geese, like Canada geese, migrate or don't migrate. And one could argue that captive bred flocks generally, one, are not being taught by their parents to migrate, are being raised by humans who are not teaching them to migrate, and generally have a mate within their own flock where they live, so therefore there's no reason for them to leave. So they have food, shelter, water, and procreation all in one location. Therefore, there's no need to go anywhere. So therefore, the urge becomes more docile, more quiet, more subdued. The migration urge becomes no longer much of a drive. Um, I mean, for my Canada geese, I barely, if at all, see any reaction when birds have migrated over our land. Um, like Charlie and Blue have shown little to no interest in Canada geese going overhead. Um, Not even telling them to come down and hang out, like nothing. Just they look at them, they watch them, maybe they honk once or twice, but there is no like trying to run after, trying to flap their wings, like none of that's happening. So, oh yeah, they're all over sunfish. There are resident Canada geese live all over the US. Like most states have multiple flocks of resident Canada geese. Um, and like I said, it's super, super common. Um, and even the ones where you think they migrate, a lot of them actually don't. A resident Canada goose is not a Canada goose that stays at one location all year round. It's actually a Canada goose that like migrates for less than 100 miles. So that's considered a resident Canada goose, if I remember correctly. So they actually, it's not that they don't leave a location at all. It's actually that they usually rotate several ponds and lakes and rivers, and that those rivers and ponds and lakes are usually within either one state or one or two states, and they're really not going very far, comparing wise to say like a goose that goes all the way up to Canada or all the way down to Florida, for an example. Um, but yeah, it's they are literally all over the place. So we have, oh yeah, Canada geese, yes. Yes, we have Canada geese down here in Texas. Um, Lake Texoma has a lot of them, from what I hear. I've not been there myself. I would love to go and explore. But yeah, Lake Texoma has a lot of them. Um, and yeah, from what I hear, like I think there's another one called Pottsboro or something like that. There's like a I don't know if that's a piece of the Lake Texoma Lake or what it is, but that's where the goose without a beak came from, and she was actually part of the part of well, she was on that part of the lake with a flock of Canada geese in that area. Um, so yeah, there are pretty much every state has Canada geese in the U.S. Like every state, and as um as Sunfish was saying, I've not personally read whether or not they go all the way down to Mexico, but I would not be surprised. I don't remember specifically, but I'm not surprised. I 100% will believe that without having to look it up. Because they do fly pretty far whenever they want to, and they go wherever the heck they want and wherever the wind takes them, I guess. Um, Not literally. They have reasons for where they go and when they go there. Um, their parents actually teach them where to go, where to migrate, and it's actually really interesting. Like if a male Canada goose was raised by a residential Canada goose, right? And the female Canada goose was raised by migrating Canada geese, that male that was a residential goose, gosling, right, will now become a migrating goose because the female is actually the one that chooses the nesting general location. Like she'll choose the location where she was hatched and raised to hatch and raise her own babies generally, commonly. So it's actually the male that joins the female and goes with the female and takes on her version of life. So if the female was a residential goose and the male was a migrating goose, then the male will become a residential goose to be with his female. And in some cases, when, say, both of them are migrating geese and migration, nope. And whenever migration is something that's in both of the parents' instincts, then if one of the parents is injured and can no longer fly, it's been often documented, reported, and observed, like extensively observed, that the parent who is injured will actually stay behind, while the parent who's still flight capable will take the goslings when they're old enough, show them the migration route, take them all the way to where they're going, be gone the entire year to continue raising and guiding their goslings, and then return the next year and have a huge just moment of reuniting with their mate. And then start the process of having another batch of goslings all over again. And that mate will wait for their spouse to return every single year. And they'll wait at the same location every year, calling out for their mate every single year, not knowing if they're going to return. Like, that's how strong their bond is. So there's many reasons why I'm absolutely fascinated by Canada geese, but they are they're exceptionally family oriented. They're exceptionally loyal to their family. Um, they're very smart. They have amazing memories, and there's a lot more to them than just these like honking cobra chickens that are attacking 3-year-old children at the lake. You know, I would argue, why are the 3-year-old children going near the goose nest? Just saying. As a mom, just saying. Because my kid ain't going over there. Yeah, in a way, but like there's like different like spectrum. So like Candace, you were saying that they're pretty adaptable to extreme temperatures on either end of the spectrum. Yes. They are adaptable, but most Canada geese live within like a certain temperature vicinity. So like To the best of my knowledge, most of the time they're not going from North Canada all the way to South Mexico. So like it's more like they're going from North Canada to like, I don't know, New York and maybe into Georgia or something. You know what I'm trying to say? Like or like North Carolina. As in it is far, but they're not necessarily like traveling across the entire continent. Like I'm not saying that they don't. I'm just saying to the best of my knowledge, that's not generally what they do. It's more like they have different flight patterns for different groups of geese, and depending on where their home base is, or their home bases are, and their breeding bases are, um, you're not usually like super far away from each other. Um, but that's just what I know of them. Again, I could very well be wrong. I could have misunderstood. And there's always exceptions to the rules and variations and all that fun stuff. So um, don't think that I'm saying that it's not possible. Lord knows, we probably do have some Canada Goose overachievers that are going all the way from the North Pole to the South Pole. I mean, many people will argue that they're not from this earth, so they're actually alien invaders, and they're slowly taking over the earth. Yeah, basically, they pretty much are just trying to get a. They're pretty much just trying to get somewhere where the resources are better, and they'll be able to start nesting, have babies, raise their babies, and then return back to where they came from. And they're built in such a way that they can deal with extreme colds. Um, Now, I don't know how extreme heat they can deal with. So my geese did fine this last summer, and we had a really bad heat front. And you guys will know this being in Texas. Last year was hell. I mean, by now we were like full on drought. Like we were bad drought. Like this year, I'm actually relieved that it's not as bad as it was last year. Because by this time, we were like begging for a drop of rain. We literally, where I'm at, we got rain in like the end of April one time. So whole April we got rain like once, and then we did not see rain again until August, like mid end of August. And there was one moment in between, I think it was in like June or July, where we had one storm that was supposed to just right on hit us, and that one just like it sprinkled for literally 2 minutes, sprinkled, and then it stopped. And I was so frustrated. I was so looking forward to everything cooling down, and it just sprinkled for like 2 minutes, and it stopped, and it moved on, and the whole storm ended up not exploding until it was like an hour like east of us, and I was just so frustrated. Anyway, but yeah, that was bad, and that's what actually killed all of our grass, and I've been working on trying to revive it while I have birds living out here. So our yard really suffered last year. Between the birds and the weather, it was really, really bad. So we have areas where just now the grass is coming back. And I've been like planting grass and doing stuff and whatever else. So potentially. Now, don't get me wrong, you can actually find pictures of and videos of Canada geese sitting on a nest covered in snow. Like, I shit you not, the entire goose is like sitting under like a foot of snow. And the babies still hatch. Like, the parents managed to insulate that nest so well that they're still keeping the babies at 99.7 degrees. And the mothers will just soldier through it, and they'll sit on that nest and they will not stop. So, oh yeah. See, there's so many reasons why I'm fascinated with Canada geese. Did y'all know Canada geese can fly upside down? They can literally fly upside down. They also go to sleep while they're flying. Like they sleep while they're flying. Without falling down, like without getting out of formation or falling down or messing up. Like they basically go into a sleep state while they're flying. Um, but yeah, they personally, I'm always fascinated with these animals. Um, the biggest thing that fascinates me is their loyalty to family and their imprinting abilities and how they choose, like how they have different personalities and choose certain, animals, people, humans, or whatever to attach to, and then they never forget that person. So, like, if you have had a Canada Goose imprint on you or trust you on some level at some point in your life, um, even if you never see that goose again, if that goose is still alive, it will never forget you. It will look at every single human and look for your face. Like that's just the thing. And they will recognize you like many, many years later. They know your voice, they know certain unique aspects of your face, certain expressions that you make, certain sounds you make. Like they just there's so much detail that goes to it. It's actually very interesting. Squirt, you are such a terror. I swear you just do it just to pick on them. She's the tiniest goose I've got, but she's the one that causes the most amount of terror in this flock. Little badass. Nope, she's gonna go and do some sunbathing. She's like, gotta get my tan on. Little diva. You guys ready to go back inside? Mama needs to go cook, and I'm tired. It's not a good combination. You got a mohawk going on. Yes, you do. You got a mohawk. Doesn't she look so cool with the polka dots everywhere? I wish that would stay. Like, that the polka dots would not, like the yellow does not get replaced with black, but like with white, or just stays yellow. That'd be so cool. Huh, Sarah? Can you keep the polka dots for me? Hmm? Some Canada geese actually have these patterns. It's it's like a genetic flaw or something in them. And I'm just like, give me one of those. I'll take one or two or three. I'm basically the kind of candidate, like the kind of person where a lot of breeders are looking for that perfect Canada Goose specimen. I'm like, give me the ones with the flaws, like the ones that look different and strange and unique and that are hybrids and unwanted or have some weird kink somehow, like something that's just not right about them, right? Like, give me those because I think that they're beautiful. Like you can look it up, like albino Canada geese. You can look up leucistic Canada geese. There's the ones that have literally like white and black polka dotted, like all over their necks and head. There's the ones that are really, really light colors of beige and brown. Their entire body is basically white, and then their neck and head, instead of it being black, it's like a light beige, golden color, or like a brown color. And they have amazing, just different variations. Some of them turn albino. Um, you have some hybrids that end up with completely white necks and heads and chests, but then the beak stays black and it looks really beautiful. It almost looks like a swan, basically. Um, and that's one of the things that I'm wondering if that's what's going on with Pretty Bird because he's gaining more and more white feathers around his neck and his head. And I'm curious if that's where those geese originate from. If those geese were hybrids that looked like Pretty Bird in the beginning and over time lost the color and it was being replaced by white over time. But like I said, there's no way of really knowing how it happens because we usually just come across them however they are at that point in their life, and they're usually wild geese, so we don't know anything about their history, their DNA, or anything like that. So That's another thing I love. They like to stretch out their feet when they get comfortable, especially when they're goslings. They do this thing where they stretch their feet behind them. Pretty Bird used to literally flatten out both feet just a long way behind him. Just both feet. Right now, you look like you have eyebrows. You know that? Hmm? Sarah. Hi, BBs. Mm-mm-mm. Are you zoned out? Did I wake you? Hi. Hey, BBs. What do you see? I love it when they do that. Makes them look so curious. Hi. She doesn't like cuddles as much. See, it's funny because each of them have different personalities, and at different times of the day, they'll have different preferences and different behaviors. So, like Sarah, usually is much more likely to be okay with me petting her. She'll accept it, she'll generally enjoy it, and have no problem with it most of the time, right? Most of the time. Anyway, and then let's see, Ducky, which is over there, most of the time is the one that's sitting closest to me, but not right now. And then if it goes to evening time, they become super cuddly. Okay, like they're like right there. They want cuddles. They want attention. They want to feel safe. And I don't know, it's just their behavior changes throughout the day. And they each individually have different personalities. So some of them like cuddles more, some of them less. Some of them only like to cuddle in their own way. So like they like to sit, say like on your foot or against your leg or in your lap if they're the one that went there. But they don't like to be put anywhere. They don't like to be made to do something, and they don't like you petting them. They just like to cuddle up to you and like snuggle, basically. But they don't want you touching them and like petting them. So like you could see, they're all lined up right in front of me here. Well, four of them are. Number five. And then Dino's right there with your swan butt. Dino. Dino. The whole world can see your butt. Anyways. Yeah, Ducky right there. Busy. I guess cleaning her foot seems to be what she's doing. What you looking at? Mm-hmm. Just like a cat or dog. Maybe they are doing yoga. Who knows? Is it back again? All right, guys, we need to go inside, babies. Mommy's tired, and I got stuff I need to get done. And my phone's at 15%. Yeah, I said it. My phone's at 15%. What do you think? Shall we go inside? Huh? Petrie. What is it, Petrie? What do you see? What do you see, Petrie? Hmm? I don't see anything. What do you keep looking at? Their eyes are amazing, too. I have no idea what the hell they're looking at, but they probably see something I can't see. Lord knows my eyes ain't good. All right, babies. Let's dump out the rest of the food, and then we'll go inside, okay? Does that sound like a plan? Hmm? Does that sound like a plan? Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. Y'all don't even know how excited I would be if one of these ended up having a flaw in their pattern. I would think that would be beautiful. But then again, my favorite bird, quite literally, is hybrid Canadas. That's my favorite version of the Canada Goose is hybrids. I think they're absolutely gorgeous. They're cool looking. They're amazing. They have dorky personalities and average. From everything I've seen, they just are kind of goofy. All right, let's go and dump out the rest of the food, guys. Come on. Come on. Uh. Uh uh uh. Uh. You got food inside, goofy butt. Don't act like you're starving. Y'all, you guys get food refilled, non teriyaki. You do not mess with the babies. What? Where's your tail, dude? Are you molting too? Jesus, look, my rooster looks weird. He's lost his tail. Come on, babies, let's go. Come on, come on. Uh. Come on, babies. Uh. Don't do it, Squirt. Move it. Young woman, let's go. Let's go, lady. Hey, Crispy. You go, girl. Don't do it. Leave her alone. Come on, boy. Go on. Nope, leave her. She came to me for protection, so she will be protected. That's what's happening. Yes, they come inside with me. They're still little. Come here, Crispy. It's okay. Sorry, I've got a rooster trying to mess, a juvenile rooster trying to mess with Crispy. So she wants to hide literally under me between my legs because she knows that I'll keep her safe. Anyways, yes, they still come inside with me, but here very, very soon they're not going to anymore. So that's one of the reasons why I spend so much time outside because they do still sleep inside. Um, they actually sleep in my bedroom, uh, like at on one side of my bed. And yes, I have a saint of a husband. um, I clean them like 2, 3 times a day, to keep it clean. And there's like a tarp down underneath and everything. Like just it's a lot of work, but it's a temporarily thing. And very, very soon they're gonna start being outside 24/7. Um, and yeah, it's one of the times that I dread the most. I hate the transition, but I'm gonna have to pick a specific day where the heck. Anyway, I will see you guys another time. I'm going to go ahead and get off here. My phone's running out of charge anyways, and I've got stuff I need to go do. How fast? It's already 6 o'clock. Yep, I'm running behind. I got to go get some stuff done. So I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for hanging out. I hope I was able to answer questions and that you guys enjoyed yourself watching little goslings. And we'll see you guys next time, huh, Sarah? Say bye, babies. Say bye, babies. Bye-bye. Layla says bye. Hi, Layla. What is it, Layla? See, Pretty Bird sounds very different. That's the Africans. Pretty Bird! Pretty Bird! Pretty Bird! Pretty Bird! Pretty Bird! Ah? 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 There it is. There's the Canadas. Good job, Blue. Hey, Squirt. Anyways, y'all have a good night. Bye. Thank you for watching. If my phone lets me finish the live. There we go.